Right now, the region digging out from the first big snowstorm of the season as a new weather worry awaits. Plus, the snow makes up for Bill de Blasio's first big test. The question is, how did the mayor do? And is he already dividing a city he says is divided before he even got here? And then, snow done. Edward Snowden, that is two of the papers that published his leaks, now make the case for his amnesty or clemency as a whistleblower. Is he hero, villain, or both? And later, if there was a game at MetLife Stadium tonight or tomorrow night, the question is, would you go? Be honest here. If you're in sub-zero temperatures, it still is appealing as it once sounds. The Meadowlands Super Bowl now less than a month away, one frigid, snowy month. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to RFL. I'm Richard French, and thank you so much for joining us this Friday evening, January 3rd. But we start here with where we left off last night, and that's Storm Watch 2014. The snow has finally tapered off across the region, giving us a chance to get roads, highways, driveways, rail lines, and more, even the airports, back up and running. It's also given millions of school kids yet another day of vacation. So the question is, what now? If you've been outside, you know what I'm talking about with the chill, meaning all that snow is not going anywhere for a while. And so to the Weather Center we go, and FiOS 1 News meteorologist Jeff Denoyers, who's been working double duty along with the team here for the last couple of days. And Jeff, the snow may have stopped here, but the temperatures, they're just getting colder.
Yeah, Rich, it's like a boxing match. You know, Mother Nature delivering the body blows yesterday, and now the uppercut comes today with the cold temperatures. Very chilly stuff. You know, we get 6 to 10 inches of snow. Let's talk about the storm totals real quick. You know, North Merrick, 10.5 inches. Bayville, 9.5 inches. Hicksville, near 9 inches. Central Park, 6.5 inches. And last night, Comac picking up almost a foot of snow. Some of the highest amounts were in portions of eastern Suffolk County, and then that 6 to 10 inch amounts in portions of New York City, Nassau County, and much of New Jersey, as we continue to see that 6-inch amount in Tenafly, Ringwood, and also Rivervale, and almost 7 inches in Hoboken. So a moderate snow event, but now we deal with the very cold temperatures. You know, the winds and the snow are one thing, but now we've cleared the skies out, and the winds are starting to diminish, thankfully. But with the clear skies, any heat, which wasn't much during the day, escapes back up into the atmosphere. We call it radiational cooling. That allows temperatures for you at home to plummet, and that's what we're seeing right now. We are in the single digits and teens out there right now. But as we start to get into the overnight and those clear skies and that fresh snowpack and that Arctic air really oozes in, temperatures are going to drop back below zero in many locations. In fact, far northwestern New Jersey near 10 below. Sussex Airport forecasting a low of 9 below. Caldwell 3 below. Glen Cove 9. Port Jeff 0. Uniondale 5. And right on the Jersey Shore, temperatures will drop back to near zero as well. So very cold night. The good news is this Arctic blast looks like it will let up a little bit by the second half of the weekend. But overnight tonight, very chilly temperatures expected across the region.
Hey, Jeff, I know it's January, I know it's supposed to be cold, but if it feels colder than recent memory, it's not just imaginations here. You got to go back a few years to have it this cold, especially when you focus in those wind temps, right? Yeah,
you mentioned it last night. 2009, as I went back and looked at some of the numbers, it's been about 4 years since we've had, almost 5 years since we've had temperatures this cold. This is some pretty chilly stuff, and the pattern looks like it may actually continue a bit as we head into the rest of the month.
And we're seeing this obviously across the country here. Jeff, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. All right, let's get back to what we talk more about in this show, which is politics. And when you mix in the snow, not to mention other emergency situations, it's kind of where you get a good sense of where leadership starts and stops. Obviously, protecting, saving lives, property, huge priorities for public servants. But these are also the moments that can make, and in some cases even break, a politico's reputation. Take a look at New York Mayor John Lindsay. If there was ever somebody who was right out of central casting for what a mayor, let alone governor, or even more, could look like, it was this guy. Gracie Mansion back in February of '69 when 20 inches of snow fell and 42 New Yorkers died. Many, they pointed the finger right at the then Mayor Lindsay, saying the city unprepared for the response, including a woman in Queens who told Lindsay as he toured her neighborhood after 3 days without plows, "Get away, you bum." Later in '69, Lindsay, he lost the Republican primary, but he still managed to eke out a win in the general election that fall. Now, flash forward 9 years, and Mayor Ed Koch facing a fiscal crisis and a series of snowstorms all in the same winter. After about the 5th storm, Koch, as only he could, took a biblical view, saying, "What's next? The locusts?" And more recently, the blizzard of 2010. It was bad news for 2 local leaders. Mayor Michael Bloomberg, he was on vacation in Bermuda when the 2-foot storm hit, making it worse. Manhattan was plowed out relatively early while other boroughs were buried for days. Now, across the Hudson, Governor Christie, he was in Disney World when that same blizzard hit. What's more, is Lieutenant Governor Kim Guadagno, in an office created to prevent these kind of problems, was out of the country in Mexico at the very same time. Christie's response, what do you think?
I would have been in a room someplace on a telephone saying, what's going on? What do you need? Why is this happening, or why isn't this happening? And that's exactly the same thing I was doing in Florida.
So the question is, how can politicos both take advantage of snowstorms here to burnish their reputation, or in many ways see their careers go up in flames by Mother Nature? 3 simple rules here that go a long way. 1, keep things clear and keep things moving, or keep them that way, or get them that way fast if you don't have them under control. The second one, keep people informed. More press conferences, the better. The more people get sick of seeing you out there, at least they know you're on the job here. And finally, 3 here, get out there and see it for yourself. Lots of firsthand inspections of damage and problems. Thank Christie after Hurricane Sandy. All right, let's get some perspective here from our panel. We're going to get into a lot here tonight. Storm on the political side. We'll also talk later about the Super Bowl in a month's time, what that could bring, and all the other debates that we have. Dominic Carter, political journalist and author. Mayo Bartlett, an attorney, former chief of the Bias Crimes Unit at Westchester County's DA's office, and Andrew Whitman, our senior political correspondent. And Dom, I'll start with you. You've seen mayors come and go. You were saying, like, Rudy lived for this when some others would take a hands-off approach. The one good thing is, with each successive mayoralty, they learn lessons from predecessors, right? But you can't kind of take a hands-off approach with these things because it'll bite you.
You hope that they learn lessons from their predecessors. Rudy Giuliani, in my opinion, was the modern-day master of how to handle snow, a natural emergency, and so on. Rudy would diss the tie, throw on an emergency services sweater that said Mayor Rudy Giuliani, and he would work almost around the clock. New Yorkers, all types of residents from all around the tri-state area, all around the country, as you know, Richard, they want to hear from their chief executive. And so it's these types of situations, put policy aside for a second, that can make or break you as a public official. Christie, during Sandy and hugging Obama, really did put him on the national stage. Bloomberg, it started to talk when he wasn't here and in Bermuda in 2010 of him being out of touch billionaire. That played right into it. And we can go on and on. That's why de Blasio was on top, making sure that nothing went wrong yesterday.
But yet, you know, Andrew, I see him shoveling, maybe it was off of, and we'll talk later this hour about the inauguration that I thought had a lot of sour notes, more than high ones for him. But he's shoveling his front stoop, I guess, or the sidewalk in Park Slope. And for me, at 8 o'clock in the morning, I'm like, give Dante the shovel and get in there, you know? And everything went fine. They plowed the roads. In the end, that's all anyone's going to matter here. But this playing the common man kind of vibe, it almost got Cory Booker as much bad headlines as it got him good ones when he was out there, you know, rescuing grandmas and everything else. They want leadership, not just competency.
Cory Booker's Superman?
Yes,
the
exactly.
Superman senator? I don't think it's really hurt Cory Booker that much. I didn't have any problem with Bill de Blasio doing this morning. First of all, I was 16 once. My dad told me to shovel the driveway, and I was like, I'm sleeping in. So he might be able to get the sanitation.
I tried it too. I got a foot somewhere it didn't belong.
He might be able to get the sanitation department out on the roads, but I'm not sure he can get a 16-year-old son to do the shoveling. Obviously, this is a photo op, and this is staged to show he's a man of the people. He's
just
going through
magically all the cameras
same
have to
stuff
be
that
there
everybody else
yeah.
is. But really, in the end, it's going to come down to whether the streets got plowed. And you know, the Office of Emergency Management's in Brooklyn, so he's in Brooklyn too. I didn't have any problem with this. I felt like it was a common touch kind of thing.
you've seen this firsthand. We got emergencies, and there can only be one kind of boss here in front of the cameras and everything else. I don't know. Maybe it's because 12 years we've had Bloomberg here, and he's never been in anything but basically a suit. But this isn't what I wanted to see in the morning. I wanted to see him at OEM first thing, not at 8 o'clock when everyone else in the studios getting ready and doing whatever else. You know what I mean?
I think that it's a double-edged sword. On the one hand, it's a great photo op. It lets people see that you're willing to pick up a shovel, you're going to go out, you're going to do some work. On the other hand, we have a belief that you should be an OEM. But the reality is the mayor is not actually calling the shots anyway. No. They're not determining which streets get plowed. That's what you have your administration for. So even as we speak, it seems like New York City, Manhattan has been handled beautifully, Brooklyn beautifully. People in Staten Island are not too happy right now.
They never seem to be happy with that.
But it always goes back still to when we talk about tax dollars, because we're just getting started. It's the first of the year. Winter's just getting started. If we have more storms like this every week, we're going to run out of money to even handle these storms. And what happens is the mayor gets blamed for that. So you get credit for things you don't deserve, and you get blamed for things that really aren't your fault also.
But keep in mind on this story, the sanitation department chief, if memory serves, didn't change over from
same guy as
same
John
Garrett.
Yeah.
Right.
And so if you're the new mayor, you don't really have to worry about getting the job done, because that commissioner knows if you mess up my first snowstorm and I'm keeping you on board, guess what my next change is going to be? Sanitation.
But it's also not like he has the. De Blasio knew exactly what was. I mean, these plans were in place before De Blasio took office.
But if something goes south, it's on your watch.
Sure,
and where do you want to be seen here? Do you want to be seen with a shovel out in the front?
But
you
do you give him the other side of that coin? Do you give him the extra success or the extra benefit of success? Because apparently Manhattan and Brooklyn seem to do pretty well during the storm, and this with a non-De Blasio appointee. Boy, it looks like he's managing this. I mean, you could make the argument.
Remember, he's sending the message of, I'm not standing in Manhattan or in a command center.
Right.
I'm out amongst the boroughs, which is very important, with the people. He couldn't go to Gracie Mansion and do it.
You know what?
You have a
Some
staff
people
to
like
do it at
this,
Gracie
and
Mansion.
obviously, Andrew and I find this stuff patronizing when these guys do this.
But this
You're
is what
the
they all
mayor.
do.
Don't
This is what
give
they
me-
all do.
I didn't see Bloomberg shoveling, at the Park Avenue apartment.
But Bloomberg
and he wasn't
did,
a phony about it.
But Bloomberg did ride the train the same way de Blasio did to his inauguration.
So wait, the Times even pointed this out too, and Ralph, we have the Times story from today, if we can throw that up. That's just a style difference in the way the two mayors operate. Michael Bloomberg was a hands-off kind of guy. He wasn't going to ever shovel his own snow. I'm not sure he's ever shoveled his own snow in his life. Bill de Blasio is a different kind of guy. Just because we're not used to a different style of mayor, we haven't had a different mayor in 12 years, doesn't necessarily mean it's...
Your job is to look after 8 million people. It's not to look after your driveway. And the priority is, that comes with the job. And I know optics are part of it, and I spent way too much time, and this is my fault, no one else's, on him shoveling his driveway, but it's just... There's, in such an effort to buy distinctions between the previous regime and the current one, there's a bigger picture involved here. And I think, as we'll talk about the inauguration, that's part of it. There is one other thing that has nothing to do with this mayor or the previous one. There can only be one voice. And we've seen this happen a few times. If you remember after 9/11, Governor Pataki and Mayor Giuliani, there was a day or two where who was going to be the point person for the messaging about what was in the aftermath of New York. Dominic, you covered this firsthand. There can only be one voice here. And in many ways here, if there's a void in the beginning, somebody else is going to fill it. And to every mayor in recent times credit, they make sure if something happens in New York, that's their city, it's not the state's. And that is one of those tenuous windows somebody's going to fill quickly, right?
No doubt about it. If you don't step up, some aspiring official will, plain and simple. No other way to look at it, period.
Okay. When we come back, this debate here that is taking place at dining room tables here, it's happening at the NSA, maybe less there, I think there's unanimity on that front, but it's happening in the halls of Congress, and we're going to have it at this table as well. What do you think of Edward Snowden now? Is he a traitor, or is he, as some say, maybe a hero? Should we let him come home, if only to stop the leaks, and should we go easy on him to bring him back? Two newspapers here make the Snowden case. I'll tell you why I disagree. Stay with us.